Alright. Fresh paste has been made. So, next thing I want to do, I don't worry too much about the bottom just yet, mostly the top. So, I've got my UV reactive paste. This is a little silicone brush. It's made for clay molding. And this is kind of like clay molding. So I'm just going to take a little bit of this paste. We're going to work it into these cracks. And since it's UV reactive, you can work with it forever. It'll always stay a paste until you hit it with UV light. And then it cures instantly, which is why I like working with it, because there's no waiting time. So I'm just going to keep taking the paste, working it into the crack there, trying not to leave much of the excess behind. Once you get the holes all filled in and hit it with UV light, I can take sandpaper to it, sand it smooth, and if I need to add another coat of paste, I can do that and sand that off as well. I think I got the consistency of my paste right. Seems to stay in place as I'm using it. When you get into the more detailed stuff, you got to be a little more careful not to fill in the details that you want to preserve. You could do it in little sections at a time if I wanted, but being as the resin that I've printed here is UV reactive itself, if I keep zapping it with UV light, it just gets more brittle and more brittle. So I want to get as much of this top coat done as I can before it gets zapped with some light. Okay, gaps are filled. Now just a little cleanup. said, you want to make sure you get all the details cleaned up really well. Because once you hit it with the UV light, it's done. It might as well be part of the model. And you'll have to sand it down. And when you sand it, you end up sanding all the details as well. So I try to wipe up as much as I can around all the details. The big areas, no big deal. You can sand those down, but these areas here with the rocks. Okay, so I'm going to call that good. I have to move my UV paste away from the light when I do this. Whoa. But there's a little UV light that I picked up off of Amazon with a little switch here. So now all I have to do is hit the switch and zap this for, I don't know, 30 seconds, a minute. And that paste will be hard as resin. Resin actually gets a little warm. The chemical reaction of it hardening makes it get warm. So we turn off the light, and yes indeed, it is all dry. So rather than sanding this, I think I will just keep going with the next pieces. Hey Google, play music.
All right, playing Spotify.
this with the bigger gaps because the paste only dries with light. You can't just gunk it in there and then you hit it with the UV, because it's only going to harden what's on the surface, and what's underneath is going to eventually eat away at the plastic and it comes out. So I'm going to do this in layers. cured that, it still feels a little soft. So I'm going to let that sit a little while and harden up. I'll sand it later.